Welcome back, guys. Today, I want to just do a bit of a roundup. You guys have asked me to round up my last meeting with Mark Lawrie from Minelab. I'm sure most of you are aware, but for those of you not aware, Mark Lawrie is Minelab's chief engineer. So several times now, him and I have got together and we've had a meeting and we've talked about some of the things that might be going on with the Manticore. Now, firstly, I want to sort of put this in perspective. It won't take long, this video. I always say that and I waffle on for ages, but this is just me giving you some facts from the horse's mouth about some of the concerns that you guys have had, that I've had, and a few other people that I know are testing these bits of kit or own them. So first off, most of the problems that I'm going to talk about are not all Manticores. And now it's not some of the Manticores have problems and some don't. It turns out, with talking to the engineers and other things, that it seems to be a bit of geography that's at play here, i.e. it depends on the type of ground and the area that you're working in, which makes sense. So yeah, Mark is the lead engineer, has been on the Manticore and all the other machines, hugely busy guy, so I really appreciate him taking time out of his days to chat with me and so we can help get you guys the answers. The only downside is he lives in Adelaide and I'm here in the UK, so it means that we've got some weird timings that we have to get up or not go to bed or something so we can talk. Anyway, so some of the problems are down to area. Now, the problems that I'm going to talk about first, I say problems, there's some teething things, and it's some things I've mentioned in some of my videos and some things that lots of people online are talking about. So the things that are not affecting everyone. Now, when I say not affecting everyone, it's looking like 85-90% of people who have now got the Manticore are hugely happy, very impressed, and are loving it and having a great time. Some people are having some issues with it. Now, that's to be expected. Let's think about the Equinox 900. It's come out, I've done loads of videos about that, and it's, for me, I pretty much think it's sort of almost perfect out of the box. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, that's sort of to be expected because what they did is they took a tried and tested best-selling machine, Equinox 800 and 600, gave it some tweaks and some advancements and just improved on a very good formula. The Manticore is completely all new. It's a new concept, it's new everything that's in there. So there is potential for some things to need ironing out and not be quite right. The Manticore is a very good machine, a very good machine, and has potential to be fantastic. But for some of us, in some locations, there's some tweaks needed. And there's some other things that's affecting everyone, and we'll get to those. Right, so I'm waffling already. So firstly, thanks again to Mark. We message backwards and forwards, and he takes time out to have the FaceTime meetings with me, and I really appreciate that. And it helps us to help them to make a perfect product, which is what we all want because we spend a lot of money on these things. So the things that are not affecting everyone, there are quite a few people talking about high tone falsing on iron. It's something I've experienced where what I mean by that is you're detecting along and the machine is giving you a really good high two-way tone initially, and you sweep back over and then it's an iron grunt. That's happening to some people. Again, it depends on your ground and your land. So over here in the UK, lots of us are working on sites where it's thousands of years of occupation, the iron and all the things have leached into the soil, and it's quite different to where some of the testing has happened in the past. So that high tone falsing, they have recognised it, they do know about it. What they're going to do about it? Well, they're looking at an update. We've talked about the update in order to deal with that. Now, some of you who have got the perfect Manticore in the perfect location who are thinking, no, don't touch it, I like its performance. Don't worry, the new update, firstly, it's your choice if you want to upload or download the new update. Secondly, it'll be a bit like they did for the Equinox a few years ago where they changed the iron bias. So you can download the new update when it arrives, but it'll be your choice if you then go into that setting to apply the changes that they've made. So you can download it, it won't affect your Manticore at all up until the point you go into the menu and you start selecting that new setting, which is going to hopefully try and combat and deal with the high tone falsing on iron that some people, not all, are experiencing. Okay, so that can be addressed by an update. Minelab are looking at this and are trying to do a workaround to get this sorted. The next thing is something I've talked about, and probably not armed with all the correct facts to a point. And it's something that lots of other people have talked about, and other people are saying, no, it's fine. And that's sensitivity levels. Lots of people are saying they can't really get past the 20s. Now you've got the option of going up to 35 on the Manticore, and when you hit 30 it turns red and it lets you know you're in sort of ASBO mode, you're in like crazy mode, full power. So I asked him about that. I said, look, pretty much everywhere I'm working I'm not getting any EMI problems, so electric fences, phone masts and everything are not affecting it, but it's getting a lot of feedback from the ground. And I'm having to really knock back the sensitivity, which is fine. If you have to knock back the sensitivity, you have to do it. But I'm getting nowhere near its capacity. What Mark explained to me is the higher levels, so really sort of 26 and above and definitely into the 30s, are for completely optimal conditions, i.e. you're in the most perfect benign area, no EMI, there's no mineralization, you're in just neutral ground where you can really ring up that setting. It isn't a target or a goal to try and achieve to get it as high as you can. Reducing your sensitivity isn't going to drastically reduce the performance of your detector. By running it too high, something I've been guilty of as well, trying to crank out power out and try and do it with all my machines, but by running it too high, as you probably already experienced, it becomes far too chattery, far too noisy, and therefore you start to lose performance. So by really knocking it back, I think in one of my videos I used an analogy of like a trim tab on an aircraft, which was an absolutely useless analogy unless you're into aviation or fly aircraft. But basically just don't be shy of knocking back the sensitivity as low as you need to go to stop that busyness, that chatter, that sparkiness that it's upsetting quite a few people. And I've commented on it, I've said, oh, it's just driving me nuts, it's buzzing and it's popping and it's banging. Keep knocking back the sensitivity till that's reduced, and that is not going to drastically affect the performance. If anything, it'll probably improve the performance because you're going to hear those tones that you're looking for, which are the good tones. So sensitivity, the high level isn't a target that you have to try and achieve. Something that we did talk about, I suggested to Mark and the other engineers, potentially having, when you go up on the sensitivity, when it gets above 25, having that last 10, so 26 through to 35, turn red. It turns red at 30 and above. It's probably best that when you get to 25 and above that it turns red, to let you know that you're in that optimal condition zone with the Manticore. Because we're all used to, with the old Equinoxes, that we could select up to 25 in sensitivity. Now most times you would never be able to run, sometimes you can, but not always could you run at 25 on the 800. And the 900 goes up to 28, and we're not maxing it out on 28. So the same applies to the Manticore, it's just got a bigger range. So the sensitivity is something that really isn't an issue if you understand it. So don't be afraid to bring it back down. Potentially there'll be a change in the update where it goes red at an earlier position, 25, 26 onwards. Okay, so don't be afraid to really wind back the sensitivity to reduce that chatter. You're not going to lose loads and loads of depth or anything like that. Will affect it to some point, but you're not going to reduce loads of depth. So these, another point that I talked, I'm just looking at my notes here so I don't miss anything. Another point I talked to them about, now this is something they weren't aware of. Now Minelab have been really receptive. They're looking online, they're looking at comments, and they're wanting feedback. They're wanting feedback from you and us, the user, to let them know what we think is good, or equally what we're not happy with, or what might need a tweak or an improvement. I mentioned, now it's something I've experienced, and the team that I work with, Joe Allen, other people have been testing, Chris Rogers from Addicted to Bleeps, go check out his channel. There's a few of us been out there testing it, and quite quickly I noticed, just because of the area I live in, it's mainly arable, that it wasn't as punchy and it didn't perform as well on ploughed, cultivated, soft, dug over earth. Other people have said that like the Equinoxes in the past weren't the best on plough. Never really had a big issue with 800 on there, but it's something I brought up. And he was honest, he said, we haven't heard about that, we don't know about that. And one of their biggest issues is they can't really cater during testing for every eventuality. So with a new machine, there's going to be new problems and new things. So it's sort of, the onus is on us to find workarounds and share those workarounds. If you found a setting that you've been on plough and you're going, it's brilliant, it works in this, let's publicize these settings, let's talk on here and on other forums, and let's help each other out to get these settings as they need to be. So they weren't aware that it wasn't performing on plough. Now you might be watching this going, mine's fine. brilliant. And I'm happy that that's the case. But for some of us, we've been finding that it doesn't perform as well as it does on pasture. On pasture, the thing is a killer. It's absolutely fantastic, as I'm sure you're aware. So it's something I'm not aware about, but they're looking at that now with some feedback. Things that everyone are aware of. It's something I've talked about, and this is where I've talked about perhaps a bit of a misunderstanding, not fully understanding it. Was I commented a couple of times on videos, and someone actually, I do read your comments, by the way, so do write the comments in there. I do try and answer some of them. There's lots of them, and there's other forums that I work on, so I don't get a chance to reply to you all, but I do read your comments. And someone quite correctly said it's it's the type of the LCD. On sunny days, you have to have the backlight on in order to see the screen. Now it does that for you because it's got the light sensor on the front of the Manticore. I mentioned this to Mark, and he said it's just the nature to have that type of LCD screen. You're gonna, on a sunny day, you don't get the reflectiveness, so you need to have the backlight on to see it. But he did tell me that the backlight draws minimal power, so we're not really wasting battery power by having the backlight on. So he cleared that up for me. It's something that I just sort of threw in during the conversation. A big thing that lots and lots of people are talking about. I noticed it on day one of using the Manticore. The headphones amplify even the smallest amount of wind noise, detracting from the target. And on a very windy day, I live up in the northeast of Scotland, and I'm on the coast, it's often windy up here. It's that noisy, it really sort of whistles through the headphones and starts becoming quite distracting, and you don't hear the tones. Talked to them about that. Initially they weren't aware of it, and they said it is something they are working on. He didn't tell me what they're doing with it, but they are aware of it, and they are going to do something about that problem. Whether it will be sending out something to retrofit into the headphones, that's just my assumption, or different type of headphones. I'm not sure what their solution is going to be, but they are looking at it and they are going to fix it. Other people mentioned the fact that the headphones are not waterproof and not sort of shower proof, unless you, from Minelab, so for all the Equinox ranges, unless you buy the purpose-built, the yellow ones, can't remember what model number they are, for sort of salt water and diving and things. None of them have ever been waterproof. It's something that I've had Equinoxes now since they came out 6-7 years ago, thousands of hours, and never had a problem with water ingress. I just put a hood up. It's as simple as that. If it really starts chucking it down, I go and shelter, or I simply don't go out. Now, I know a lot of you want to detect in the rain, but that's the nature of those headphones. They aren't waterproof, and they have no intention of redesigning them to be waterproof, is where I'm going with this conversation. So you're going to have to just work around that, stick a hood on or something like that, or shelter from the rain. But they are addressing the wind noise on the Manticore. It wasn't all negative. I didn't just go, I don't like this, I don't like that. I did give him some other feedback. He was drawing lots of, giving me lots of questions and drawing lots of answers, because they want to know. They want it to be as perfect as it can, without a doubt. I'm talking about them, the engineers. It's their baby. It's something that they work on for many, many years and put their sort of heart and soul into these things. So they want them to be perfect. What they're not getting, now they are from us, the team at Joe and Allen are regularly doing feedbacks, and we're sending questionnaires out to the customers, which some of you will be them, saying, how are you getting on? What they need and what they want, they being Minelab, is constructive feedback from you, the user. Definitely let them know the things that you like, but they also need to know that the things that perhaps aren't working as well as you expected, that way they can look, see if there's a pattern forming, and they can do something about it. If they have no knowledge and don't know, they can't fix it and they don't know anything about it. So they are on it, and they're keen, and they want to do what they can do. Now, we will be having more meetings with them in the future, and we've gone backwards and forwards. In fact, we were on Messenger about an hour ago. So if you have questions that you want me to put to them, then if you want to use me as some form of conduit to go direct to Minelab, we've got quite a good relationship, then absolutely we'll do that. I'm not here to downplay the Manticore. I'm not here to say, oh, it's got problems, it's rubbish. I expect there to be problems. It is, at the moment, a very good machine for most of you. Some of us have had a few issues, but on those issues aside, it's still a fantastic machine that has huge potential. So I'm looking forward to sort of moving forward with it and seeing what's going on. hopefully that's answered some of your questions. So just a quick recap: the high tone faulting on iron that's happening for some people, not all, they're aware of. They're looking at a fix, software update, that type of thing. That won't and that'll be a selectable update, so you don't have to choose that option even though you have the update. If you're getting a bit of problem, you can flick into that update. Hopefully it'll alleviate it for you. Sensitivity levels, knock them back till it stops chattering. It's as simple as that. Those higher levels are for working in optimal conditions, which is very rare that you can run a machine full chat anyway, full power and all the rest of it. The Manticore's a powerful machine. It's lighting up the ground, and that, so some of that sparkiness is to be expected, but we can control it with that. These issues that some of us have had, not everyone, on plough and cultivated grounds, they weren't aware of, they are now, and it's something we're talking about. LCD screen, backlight comes on when it's sunny. It is what it is. It's drawing minimal power. And the headphone wind problem, amplifying the wind noise, they are looking at it, they are addressing it, and they are going to do something about it. Whew. I'm trying to do it quickly because I don't want this to be a long drawn out video, you just looking at me chatting. So hats off to Minelab. They've again got back to us, we're talking, and they're not just sort of sending me a random email, we're actually having FaceTime chats where we talk to each other, so it's really helpful. And they want to know about what we think. We talked about the 900 a lot as well, you wanted to get lots of questions. So it is down to Minelab to look at and address if issues arise. Begs the question, I'm probably going to upset some people with this, but what were the testers doing, especially the ones in the UK? Some of the problems were quite obvious, like the headphones right off the bat. So again, it's not all down to Minelab. If they're not being told that there's issues, they can't fix them, they can't do anything about them. But yeah, so hats off to them for taking the time, and hats off to them for actually getting stuck in and dealing with these issues. They haven't just gone, no, there's your product, deal with it. But some of them to be expected. So exciting times. There's some positive changes coming. For some of you, you won't need any of these changes because you're more than happy with it. And that's brilliant, and that's what we want. But for a few people, there have been a few issues in different sort of all terrain related mainly that they're looking at, and they're looking at trying to fix. A couple of weeks time, I'm going to be over in Germany. Again, we're going to meet with Minelab and some of the other big manufacturers we talked about. So if you've got anything you want me to put to them there, or you have anything you want me to film or do, then let me know. Equally, in the comments, tell me what your experiences are with the Manticore. If it's fantastic, I want to hear about it. If you've got any other issues, I want to hear about it, and that way I can take them back. And it's all a big learning curve. We're a community in the metal detecting world, so we should be helping each other out. If we find a really good setting and a workaround, we shouldn't be holding on to it and going, I'm going to keep that for myself. Let's share it and let's help each other enjoy what is a great machine. I just noticed I've got my Joe and Alan Talk Show t-shirt on, so if you haven't heard the podcast, Joe and Alan Talk Show, it's on all major platforms. Give it a listen. It's myself and Chris Rogers talking about similar sort of things and lots of other things, and we go off on wild tangents, and then we have to bring it back toward metal detecting. So I'm going to stop talking now. You'll be glad to hear I've got another couple of videos coming out very soon. This one was just a quick one for those of you who wanted to know what the results of was with me talking to Minelab. Please do give this a thumbs up. Please do subscribe. It again all helps, and it all helps for us to take the time and produce these videos and all the rest of it. So like, subscribe, and do stick in the comments your thoughts. I'm really interested in hearing what your thoughts are about the Manticore. I mentioned the other day, for those of you guys in America, say hello, tell us where you're from. It's brilliant. It's just fascinating seeing where you're all from. So again, stick in the comments. It doesn't matter what country you're from. I'm aware that there's lots of people around different countries around the world that watch this channel. So again, thank you for your support. Get some great comments. I really appreciate you watching. So let us know where you're from. Let us know what you think about the Manticore in terms of positive experiences and maybe negative experiences. And then help each other out with any hints and tips if you've got settings that are working well for you. Let us all know about it. So until the next video, guys, thank you. Take care.